Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to be talking about the quarterfinal games that went down last night. Panama losing to Honduras on penalties and Mexico beating Saudi Arabia 2-0. I'm going to try to make this quick because your boys got to go to the airport soon. I will not be going live for the other quarterfinals games tonight, but I will be going live for the semifinals and the final, God willing. Maybe there's a reason I can't do one of the semifinals. Just make sure you're subscribed and following us on Twitter to know for sure, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to also give rapid fire takeaways because I am on the shot clock here. Yeah, y'all can smash the like button. That'd be much appreciated. And let me know your biggest takeaway, either from the games overall or from a certain player or whatever you want to say down below in the comments. Really curious what everybody is thinking after these two games. I think there's a lot I could say. I'm going to have to keep it short, but I will be dropping more in-depth videos probably in between the quarters and the semis, or maybe at the end of the tournament. I'd like to do biggest takeaways from every single team once the tournament is over, so hit subscribe for that. I guess I'm putting myself down for yet another CONCACAF video. I will start with Panama versus Honduras. This was a 1-1 draw at full time before Honduras went on to win on penalties. The game itself, you could say that Panama were the better side until minute 75, and then it just came crumbling down like a house of cards, and Honduras were just attacking. Panama completely abandoned their possession-style football. They looked frazzled. They looked like they expected Honduras to, I don't know, roll over and die. Honestly, it looked like Panama was offended that Honduras was trying to come back and tie the game. They were like, we're supposed to be better than you. Why are you trying so hard? It was a really, really weird game for Panama. Ultimately, Honduras get the equalizer, which I felt like was very deserved in the final 20 minutes of the game. It goes to penalties. Menjivar makes a couple saves. Eduardo Guerrero has the worst penalty I've seen in a CONCACAF tournament ever, and Honduras go on to win. And full credit must be given to Honduras, but I want to talk about Panama first because Panama were the favorites, and I think there's a little bit more to say for Panama. And firstly, I feel like I need to reiterate that Panama are still a good team, and I think Thomas Christensen is still the best manager in the region, and I don't think a single game changes that. I really think this narrative that after every single match, a team just shoots up or comes crashing down in terms of how good they are. I know some of y'all want to troll, but I just find it stupid and kind of like low intelligence to be having these like knee-jerk, such like strong reactions to every single game. Thomas Christensen got this game against Honduras so wrong. This is the worst managed game I've ever seen by him. Does that mean Greg Berhalter is better now? Does that mean that Rueda is clear? Does that mean that even Steve McLaren might be better than Thomas Christensen? No, of course not. Thomas Christensen's been here for 5 years. Like, you got to look at it as a total body of work. You got to look at this Panama project in a total body of work. I still think they are a good team, but this was not a good performance from them. And I think one of the problems with Panama is something I've said many, many times. I have a lot of love for Panama. I have concerns for Panama, and those are voiced on the channel. And one of those concerns has always been these guys defensively can't really shut up shop. I remember in the Nations League quarterfinal against Costa Rica, they clung on for dear life. They barely held on. This team is not built for like 1-0 leads. They cannot win games by one. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we don't see Panama with a ton of upsets, because they tend to concede at least one when you look at them historically versus the best teams. They have to be scoring 2 goals. And if they're going to only score 1, you got to either possess the ball the whole freaking time, like Guatemala, the whole time they had the ball, or it's going to be like when they upset the U.S. last time and they score in the 90th minute. But I don't think Panama is going to be able to do that over and over again. The team has to possess to survive. And they were doing that until minute 70, and then they said, all right, we're just going to clear it and bunker down. And you simply do not have the personnel for that. And I think that needs to be Christensen's biggest takeaway. Also, Panama, god damn, they missed Coco Carrasquilla in this game. I mean, I said it on the stream. Shout out to y'all who were in the stream last night. I still had a good time. I think anybody who thought that Michael Murillo was more important to Panama than Coco Carrasquilla, I mean, what are we saying now? Because I think Cesar Blackman can step in and do most of what Murillo does. He's not as good, but he can do most of what Murillo does. But replacing Coco Carrasquilla with Harvey or with Godoy or Griffiths, that is an epic downgrade. And we saw Panama completely lose the midfield in this game without their star boy. There's a reason Coco Carrasquillo was the CONCACAF Player of the Year last year. The dude is a beast. And there's a reason he was the Gold Cup MVP. And honestly, a little bit shame on me for downplaying the significance of his absence because of how Panama performed in the group stage, because holy hell, they need this guy if they're going to be good. They simply don't have the depth. Nobody has the depth really outside of Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Nobody else has the depth like that. If Costa Rica lose 3 starters, they're cooked. Honduras loses 3 starters, they're cooked. Everybody's cooked if they lose 3 of their best players, including their best player. And Panama, despite being the best team in Central America, is not exempt from that rule. But make no mistake, this is a massive L for Panama. This is a huge humbling. By my mark, going into the tournament, they were the 3rd favorite to win. Mexico 1, Canada 2, Panama 3, US 4 because of US personnel. And for the 3rd favorite of a team to lose in the first knockout game, I don't care if it's the Confederations Cup, Euro, AFCON, Gold Cup, Nations League, looks bad. And it is bad. This is an embarrassing end to what was such a good campaign in the beginning. The best team in the group stage. And for Panama and Thomas Christensen, I think the takeaway needs to be we got humbled, learn from it, and go again. That's all you can do in football. This sport is going to humble you. You have to learn from that and proceed. I'll get to Honduras in a second. That's what happened to them. They got humbled against Canada, and they said, okay, we took our beat down. What are we going to do? Are we going to collapse or are we going to grow? And they got better, and now they've beaten Panama, and now they're into the semifinals. So, yeah, I think it's an inexcusable result for Panama, even with the injuries. The injuries are not an excuse for losing this game because you still had a 1-0 lead with 15 minutes to go. You got to be able to see it through. And Panama had their chances, but kind of like a lot of their old demons came back in this game. Not being clinical, just defensively all over the place. It was not a good game for Panama. Now, Honduras on the flip side, they have improved since the beginning of the tournament. And they have shown that despite being a down bad version of Honduras, some people say it's like the worst the Seleccion's ever been. You still need to respect these guys. If you think Honduras is going to show up to die, if you think Honduras is happy to be here at the Gold Cup, they're going to punch you in the mouth. And that's kind of what happened. Even the goal that Panama scored, the penalty, it's just a stupid-ass foul by Edwin Rodriguez. It's not even like Panama had a moment of chance creation brilliance. It was just an individual idiotic error. And Ismael Diaz steps up, scores the pen, and I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, Panama have been better, and okay, they have a goal, but it's not like Honduras is barely surviving. Like, they were doing okay. They were doing better than I imagined up until that point. Was it a masterclass from Honduras? No, it was not a Rueda masterclass. They did about as well as they could, and they played the numbers game, and Panama had opportunities to kill the match, and they were unable to do so. Thomas Rodriguez had a chance. Ismael Diaz had a chance. Michael Murillo had a chance. Menjivar had the best game I've ever seen from him in the Honduran colors. I mentioned it earlier, but I think the Honduran midfield in the second half started to bully Panama. And I think Thomas Christensen subbing off Christian Martinez was the worst possible substitution you could ever make. Guess whose problem that's not? It's not Honduras' problem. Debbie Flores and Kervin Arriaga, dude, that was probably the best Kervin game I've ever seen as well. Dude was an animal. Maybe the 2-0 victory at home against Mexico, he was also a beast. But the Honduran midfielders were so good. This guy, Luis Crisanto, I had no idea who this guy was. He's been the starting right back ever since the Canada beatdown. So he was a backup. He was a substitute against Canada. I don't remember who started that game. And then he's been the starter for the last 3 games that Honduras have won. And he's been so good. I think he's 24, 25 years old. Looks like a proper baller. 5 caps all time for Honduras. After this Gold Cup, I would expect to see that man a little bit more often. He did a great job against Ismael Diaz and Luis Rodriguez. Such a good job defensively. And then it goes to penalties, and Honduras win. And that's game, y'all. Now they're in the semifinals against Mexico. And again, you just have to look at this campaign no matter what happens against Mexico, and you say, this was a successful Gold Cup. Unless Mexico wins 4-0. If Mexico wins 4-0, that's the only way that I think we again go back to Honduras and we're like, what the hell were they doing at the Gold Cup? This tournament makes no sense. Will we see more Magic against Mexico? I'm not going to say that. I'll have semifinal predictions dropping later. These are just game recaps. So congratulations to Honduras. It's a huge win, man. Huge win. I would argue in terms of significance, it's bigger than beating Mexico in the first leg of the Nations League quarterfinals. I think getting to a semifinal against a team where, everybody was saying they're way better than you, that means something to me. I think it's a massive statement. Mexico versus Saudi Arabia next. This game pretty much went as I expected for the most part, except the Saudis had zero, and I mean zero intention of attacking whatsoever. And I'm speaking to Hervé Renard personally right now. What are you doing? What was the purpose of you coming here to this tournament? I do not understand why Saudi Arabia showed up, and I would like to start the petition to have the Saudis permanently banned from any CONCACAF competition, because this was the worst watch of any team, hands down. And I know they're missing the Al Hilal guys. I know the captain's not there. This is unacceptable to force people to have to watch this complete garbage. It was so bad. It was so bad. And from Mexico, they had one shot, and it wasn't even on target. It was the 20th minute. Never happened again. They never had another shot. That is crazy. When the Dominicans get multiple shots off, the Surinamese get shots off, the Costa Ricans create opportunity, and then Saudi Arabia has one shot from 35 yards out in the entire game. They were so bad. I never want to see these frauds again. For Mexico created all the chances. Not many of them were very clear-cut. The Saudis were, as I thought, very stubborn defensively because they didn't want to attack, and they had everybody behind the ball. And as predicted, it made it difficult for Mexico, but they eventually find a way through Alexis Vega. Raul Jimenez should have been credited for an assist, but it's kind of like a double shot from Alexis Vega. The first one gets saved. It goes right back to him. It's a bit lucky, honestly, and then he shoots it home. And look, man, chance creation is still a problem for Mexico, and Mexico's still hard as hell to beat inside CONCACAF. I don't think there's a single big takeaway from this game. I mean, for the Saudis, it is like you guys play dead footy, never come back. You're banned from the house. You're banned from the cookout. I don't ever want to see your ugly mug again. For Mexico, it's kind of a situation, whether it's fair or not, that if we win, we really gain nothing, and if we lose a lot. And that's just the reality of being a gigante in CONCACAF. You don't get to celebrate victories against a depleted Saudi Arabia. And I think that's fair to say. Nobody should be popping champagne at this result. Now, was it a good win? Sure. It was a solid win. I think many of the positive takeaways are from a personnel level, like Gilberto Mora being the youngest debutant in the history of the Mexican national team and having a pretty solid game. I mean, that's a dub. We got a 16-year-old out there starting games in a knockout for Mexico. I mean, some people need to be pinched because that did not seem like it could have been a reality even a week ago. This guy didn't even play in the group stage. And then Julian Araujo comes in. Javier Aguirre drives me insane. It's like he knows what he should do, but he's like, let me make this difficult. Okay, let me make them think I'm going to start Jorge Sanchez because he started all three group stage games. And then I'm just going to throw in Araujo when they're least expecting it. He makes no sense as a manager. You could look at it and say he's playing 4D chess, or you could be frustrated like I am with some of his selections. Mateo Chavez came on as a substitute for Gallardo and had the assist for the own goal. Honestly, Santi probably scored it, but whatever. Santi's, applying the pressure on the cross. And he should have had another assist to Charlie Rodriguez. So I thought it was a great cameo from Mateo Chavez again. Can we see him start in the semifinal? That's what I'm asking. Javier Aguirre hasn't answered my text messages about that yet. And Marcel Ruiz has yet another solid game. And with the horrible injury to Luis Chavez, I feel terrible about it. Marcel Ruiz must be here to stay in the midfield. There's nobody getting him out of that spot. It was kind of him or Luis Chavez kind of filling that role. It's Marcel Ruiz. I think it's locked in. Has Mora locked in? No, because he's young and this is Mexico, and I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie starts the next game, or if Luis Romo comes back, might even bench Marcel Ruiz for Luis Romo. I mean, I don't know. This is Mexico. never get too comfortable. But I think a lot of the positives are on the player level, not necessarily on the team level. And so I am glad that we won. I did think there was upset potential for the Saudis because of how good they were defensively, but mother of God, I never thought that they would be that dead. I mean, I thought we were going to at least see like a Haiti performance from the Saudis where, like, yeah, they tried to get forward a little bit. Nah, man. They played for pens from the opening whistle, and maybe that's not a bad strategy because they can't really beat Mexico band for band in open play, but wow, that was a rough watch. That was yet another. This is Mexico's 4th game at the Gold Cup, and they've all been kind of rough watches. This one was not Mexico's fault, though. This was absolutely just how the Saudis set up and wanted to play. So I am so glad that they are gone. Because, my God, we cannot allow these guys to play another 90 minutes. Just real quick before I end the video, a little fun fact. Javier Aguirre needs just one more win to match Tata Martino for 3rd all-time for most wins as Mexican national team manager, which means were Mexico to win the Gold Cup, that would put Javier Aguirre on 42 wins, and he would be 3rd all-time. So a little bit of a sub-mini objective side quest for El Vasco. If Mexico do lift this trophy and become back-to-back champions of the Gold Cup. So just a little thing to watch there, guys. Again, I'll have more time to research other storylines and whatnot another time, but I got to head to the airport. So I'm going to end this video. I will be doing a preview for the Honduras match in the semifinal later. I will also be previewing whatever the heck happens after the 2 quarterfinals tonight, Canada versus Guatemala and U.S. men's national team versus Costa Rica. A lot more Gold Cup stuff dropping on the channel. A lot more CONCACAF stuff as well. Don't miss that. Make sure you subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of off-the-cuff recap. If you did, again, smash the like button. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.